welcome to Fonder Direkt Monthly Roundup, the June edition. We have seen that you have all been saving well again this month, with a net inflow to funds during June totaling about 1.8 billion krona. It seems that the population has reverted back to its previous risk level of being more cautious. Most of the money being invested has ended up in fixed income or hedge funds, while there has been a large amount of money being removed from equity-based funds. Gustav Sjöholm from Fondbolagens Förening expressed that there were dark clouds on the economic horizon, renewing worries due to the escalating global trade conflicts. He believes that this has contributed to the lowered risk levels of active investors. More than 16 billion krona has been removed from Sweden funds in total, most of which looks like has been invested into global funds, which saw an inflow of around the same amount. Notably, total AUM for Sweden, assets under management, has now reached a record high at 4,200 billion krona. That is a lot of money being invested. So, looking at the Morningstar data for the past 30 days, as of today, it appears that the FIFA World Cup has impacted more than just the Carlsberg stock. Russia funds, alongside biotech funds, have dominated performance this month. On the other end of the spectrum, Tundra funds took a fall, with two of their funds being amongst the worst performers this month. These were the funds exposed to both Vietnam and Pakistan. Luckily today we have Mattias, Martinsson, CIO and founder of Tundra Fonder, who is able to give us an overview as to what's been going on in the market with regards to Vietnam and Pakistan. So, welcome Mattias.
Thank you. If we look at Vietnam, the second half of last year was extremely strong. A lot of new foreign investors entered the market. That led to a little bit exaggerated valuations, and when initially in 2018 we had turbulence in frontier and emerging markets, that meant that Vietnam was one of the markets foreign investors sold. That created panic among local investors, and this happened at the time when the margin balance, outstanding loans to buy securities, was at an all-time high. So what we've seen in the last month is basically margin calls, local investors panicking out their markets. But I think we've seen the worst. Long term, the fund has returned 15% over the last 4 years, and I think that's kind of a more normal level to expect. In Pakistan, it's election time. Every time there is election, there's concerns in the market.
Of course.
Elections will happen July 25th. We think regardless of outcome, I think both the potential candidates are good. And we think that the market post that and after an IMF deal, that the market will start a recovery. Pakistan fund, since we launched it almost 7 years ago, has returned 12% a year, which is actually slightly better than the Swedish equity market.
Perfect. So really, what we need to remember is, yes, there's been a couple of bumpy months, but funds are for long-term investments.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for explaining that to us.
Thank you.
So, moving on. We had some winners according to the Morningstar fund ratings, with 3 funds moving to a 5-star category this month. These were C Worldwide Sweden Small Cap, Priya Nilsson Sverige Active, and SEB Sverige Fond Småbolag Chans Risk Utdelning. So well done to all. Amazingly, no fund this month went and lost its status down to a 1-star. So, during the past month, we have conducted interviews with guests such as Sasja Beslik, Head of Sustainable Finance at Nordea. The main focus of this interview was discussing as to whether there was an ESG premium on fund. As in, does the fact that a fund is ethical or sustainable mean that an investor needs to accept less growth? Having that in mind, we have noted that 5 of the 17 funds that were promoted on their Morningstar ratings have sustainable or ethical in their name. Following this theme, this month we're reviewing the ODDO Avenir Europe fund. The fund has an ESG focus consisting in selecting companies with the best environmental, social and governance policies according to ODDO. However, this is not considered an actual ESG fund. Interestingly, looking at the data from Morningstar, it does rate a 4 out of 5 for the sustainability rating. ODDO states that because they are not excluding stocks and therefore their investable universe remains large while using ESG as an optimizer, they feel that they are stronger for it in terms of performance. Year to date, the fund is up over 6%, which is equal to the benchmark index. As fund investments should be viewed as a long-term strategy, the fund, which can be seen as the blue line in the graph, has performed at 122% over 5 years, which is 13% above its benchmark index. Also, looking at a previous interview with Georg Kell, when asked the question about performance sacrifice with ESG-related funds, he answered with this.
It is a key component. The breakthrough, I would argue, happened about 2 or 3 years ago when it was for the first time possible to establish a clear correlation between material ESG, environmental social governance performance on the one hand, and financial returns and valuation on the other hand. It shows basically what it says is what we have been preaching for decades, but we never could bring the evidence that good, responsible business practices over time pay off.
So that is all for the June edition of Fonder Direkt Monthly Roundup. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I'm Melanie Sava, and I'll see you again next month.